Did you know that a brand new Extra Life event module came out that is officially D&D canon that has a whole bunch. It's called a Fiend Folio, but it actually has a ton of new monsters for 5th edition that are, again, designed by Wizards of the Coast and can be used in your game. I didn't know, but I have it, and if you want to see what's in it, stay tuned. So here it is, folks. I'm on D&D Beyond. You can see it right here, Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio Volume 1. This was as part of an Extra Life event. So if you pick it up, you can get a big, you give a donation. It goes to support sick kids, and it helps everything out. It was written by Mike Mearls himself. And there's a little bit of flavor text here. Here's the list. There are 18 new monsters total. Which is very cool. I'm only going to go through the monsters in the A to E section, or is that A to F? A to E. So that is going to be the first 5 monsters in this, because there's a lot here, and they have a lot of stuff, and you'll recognize some of these are popular monsters from previous editions that didn't make it into 5th edition. Ones that I recognize and have seen in the past were things like the Dire Corby, the Norker, and those are the really ones that jump out at me as ones that I remember from previous editions that I ended up fighting or playing against. But let's go ahead and dive in to the first one, which is Assassin Bug. So they plague the frontier and the wilderness, where they seek to hatch their voracious maggots within incapacitated hosts. And let's see, no one knows their exact origins, but they're a rumor of some sort of ancient beast-based god sect. And they are a challenge rating 3 monster. We have some nice kind of smoky looking art here. Challenge rating 3, 14 AC, 55 hit points. It has a fly speed of 50 feet. It's nice. It's a monstrosity too, so it doesn't officially fall in the beast section or fiend, which is interesting because that's the name of the text. Resistance to poison, immunity to paralysis. It's got some dark vision, advantage on wisdom perception checks on smell. Has 2 attacks, 2 bite attacks rather. The bite is a +4 to hit, D10 +2 piercing damage. You must succeed on a DC 11 con save or be poisoned for a minute. While poisoned in this way, you are also paralyzed, and you can repeat the save at the end of each of your turns. And it also has an ovipositor, which is disgusting, but that's what bugs do, so let's talk about it. +4 to hit, the target is infested with 1d3 assassin bug eggs, which immediately hatch into assassin bug maggots. At the start of each of the target's turns, they take 1d6 piercing damage per maggot infesting it. Applying fire to the bite wound before the end of the target's next turn deals 1 fire damage to the target and kills the maggots. After this time, the maggots are too far under the skin to be burned. If a target infested by assassin bug maggots ends its turn with 0 hit points, it dies as the maggots burrow into its heart and kill it. Any effect that cures diseases kills all assassin bug maggots infesting the target. So it's interesting that the maggots don't actually have hit points, per se. They're not like a creature. See, when I'm thinking of maggots, I was thinking they would expel from you. And that's not the case. They just live inside you and deal damage, and you need to get to them almost immediately, which is an interesting concept. I will also say that I have not read any of these ahead of time. I just did a quick read-through of everything once, so I'm kind of learning about this as we go. All right, the Blindheim, I think is how you pronounce it. Frog-like humanoids have the ability to project intense blinding light from their eyes, dwelling on the fringe of the Underdark. I do see a bunch of these that do seem like Underdark-based creatures. Here we can see it's a creepy-ass frog with laser eyes. Challenge rating 2, AC 14, 26 hit points, nothing too crazy here. Radiant eyes. While its eyes are open, it projects bright light in a 60-foot cone and dim light in an additional 60 feet. It sets the orientation of the cone at the end of each of its turns. All creatures that can see it have disadvantage on attack rolls while in the area of bright light and within 15 feet of it. Creatures with the sunlight sensitivity trait that can see it have disadvantage on attack rolls anywhere in the area of bright light. 1 bite attack, +4, 1d6, +2 piercing. Nothing crazy on the bite. But it does have Radiant Blast. Radiant energy erupts from its eyes in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area sink a DC 12 con save or take 2d6 radiant damage and be blinded until the end of its next turn. Creatures with sunlight sensitivity have disadvantage on this saving throw. So nothing crazy. It's pretty gross looking. It is a medium. It is a humanoid, which is even scarier because I guess in this picture it's kind of like hunched over here, like a frog. But it is a humanoid, so that's interesting. Like things like hold person will work on this. I guarantee you, if you throw this at one of your players, they have no idea what it is. They're gonna try to do different things, and if you're like, no one would think hold person on a weird frog creature. I also think that, like, for a giant or something crazy, this could be a really fun thing for them to use as, like, a lantern. Like, stick it in, like, a big cage, almost like a bullseye lantern, and use it to shine their light instead of, you know, just using a regular oil lantern. This could be pretty interesting for some sort of really big creature to use. I like the concept of that. Crab folk. Pretty simple here. Result of magical ritual used long ago by a mighty green hag to transform her ogre minions into more useful servants. They now exist and are descended from the original creations, with most living in small, isolated clutches. Here we go. Large giant. I mean, they're crab folk. Look like crabs. Talk like people. Actually, they can speak common and giant. 68 hit points, 16 AC. Again, a challenge rating 3. The ones we're going through now are pretty low rating. This could be just a fun sea encounter. We get a lot of different adventures out there, right? Ghost of Salt Marsh. These would fit in there. Assassin bugs could fit anywhere. The Blindheim we just went through would be good for Out of the Abyss. It has limited amphibiousness. It can breathe air and water, but needs to be submerged once every 24 hours to avoid suffocating. It can make 2 claw attacks. Has a 10-foot reach. Each claw does a d6 plus 4 bludgeoning damage. The target is grappled with a DC 14 to escape. Until it ends, the crabfolk can automatically hit the target with its claw, and the crabfolk can't make attacks against can't make attacks with that claw against other targets. It has 2 claws, so that's interesting. So this is the first time I think we've seen this where it attacks. When it attacks, it grapples, and then every subsequent turn, it can just automatically attack and hit and just deal damage. So, you know, the trade-off there is you can't roll to possibly get a crit, but it just does consistent damage, which is interesting. I like that concept. I don't think have seen that before. Nothing too much to say about that. Dire Corby. These things kind of remind me of hook horrors. That's what I've always thought of them as. But heralded by the ominous deep rumbling of their strange song, a great pack of dire corbies ranges across the Underdark, stripping the tunnels and caverns and they traverse of all living things. Even the mightiest creatures of the Underdark hide within fortified layers or step aside from a dire corby flock. They're like big bird people. Here they are. I always imagined them much bulkier to me, like big hulking things, but I guess not. They're medium size. They are humanoids. Challenge rating 1/2. The way they talked it up at that, what I read through there, seems like they'd be a lot more formidable than that 1/2 challenge rating. Immunity to frightened, damage vulnerability to thunder damage. 16 hit points, 13 AC. Dire Cacophony is an ability they have. Any creature other than a dire corby that starts its turn within 60 feet of a dire corby and can hear it must make a DC 11 wisdom save. On a failed save, is unable to use the dash action, cannot climb or cast spells other than cantrips. That's actually, for a challenge rating 1/2 and having that many hit points, that's a pretty nasty thing. If you're within, if you start your turn within 60 feet, you can't cast spells other than cantrips. Like, a group of these could be pretty deadly. I guess maybe I take back what I said about them being so deadly. Advantage on perception checks that rely on hearing. They can make 2 claw attacks, which do a d8 plus 2 slashing damage with a plus 4 to hit. Nothing crazy on the damage, but this dire cacophony ability could really shut down a lot of parties. So that's pretty interesting. And lastly for this video, we have Eye of Fear and Flame. An Eye of Fear and Flame stalks the world of the living, commanding individuals to perform evil deeds of the undead's choosing or be destroyed. If its commands are not obeyed, an Eye of Fear and Flame throws back its hood to reveal its skull, set with gems of red and black in each eye socket, and then attacks. This is an undead creature. There's an image here. You can see it. This one's a little bit significantly stronger than what we've been looking at, right? Challenge rating 9. 136 hit points, 15 AC. Resistance to necrotic and psychic, immunity to poison, and immune to blind, charmed, exhausted, frightened, paralyzed, poison, and stunned. It has immunity to effects that turn undead, which is pretty crazy. Innate spellcasting, has an intelligence, save DC of 16. Detect evil and good, and detect thoughts at will. And then we have etherealness once per day, and true seeing once per day. And it can make 2 claw attacks and use its gemstone eyes on a turn. Its claws are +7 to hit, do a d12 +3 damage. That's pretty solid, a d12. And its gemstone eyes, it shoots one of the following magical eye rays, choosing one target it can see within 90 feet. So 2 claws, choose an eye. Eye of Fear. Target and up to 4 creatures of the Eye of Fear, Fear Inflamed choice within 10 feet of that initial target must make a DC 16 Wisdom save or be frightened for 1 minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effects on a success. Or the Eye of Flame. The target must make a DC 16 Dexterity saving throw, and on a fail, the target takes 44 or 8d10 fire damage. If it's a creature or a flammable object, it ignites. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and does not ignite. The target that ignites takes 1d10 fire damage at the start of each of its turns until a creature takes an action to douse the fire. So this one's pretty bitchin'. I'm a big fan of this Eye of Fear and Flame. I would definitely be throwing this at a party soon. The crab folk were interesting too. I have a town in my home campaign that's based on crabs. Largely, so they would fit in perfectly there. And the assassin bugs are pretty just like they're gross and unnerving with the ovipositor thing. So that could be a good thing to throw in against any party. So this just covers, I didn't want to keep these videos too long, so this covers again A through E in the newly released on the DM's Guild as well as on D&D Beyond, Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio Volume 1. They also had the forethought to call it Fiendish Folio Volume 1, which makes us think that we potentially will be getting more of these in the future. Every year, Wizards of the Coast release something interesting for Extra Life, and in recent years, it's been different things like the Tortle package, and the ability to play as a Tortle was released a couple years ago. We got Lost Laboratory of Koalish, I think, was one as well from recent years. Now this is expanding our monster pool, which is really cool. They also did release a brand new adventure here. I won't go over it on this. Maybe I'll do another video on it called something. I don't see it here. Okay. Well, they did release a new module to play through a lower level adventure, and I really don't. Oh, Infernal Machine Rebuild. Which I thought it was just like a reworking of the Infernal Machine rules in Descent into Avernus. It's an adventure. So if you guys are interested, I can do a review of that in the future, but stay tuned as we go through the other monsters contained in Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio Volume 1 in the near future.